going to talk about now is my super secret formula for success. We're going to start with what I trust for you will be a breakthrough in how you see your opportunity. This little exercise that we're going to go through is an exercise that you can use with people on your team. You can use it with perhaps prospects if they know enough about what we're doing, but it's really a better exercise for people that are on your team. And these questions came from questions that I asked large groups of people over a long enough period of time to get clear on the answer. The last time I think I asked these was last year in a generic event, and there were maybe a couple of thousand people there, maybe 200 different network marketing companies. And I asked everybody in the audience, so how many of you think your products are the most phenomenal products that any company has ever developed for the marketplace, for consumers, life-changing, miraculous products? How many of you represent products like that? And out of 2,000 sales leaders and maybe 200 different companies, how many hands do you think went up? So the next question is, how many of you authentically feel like your company, which includes your leadership and your opportunity and your fancy website and your philosophy and your culture and the compensation plan and all of that wrapped together, how many of you feel like your opportunity is the most phenomenal opportunity ever? And then I would ask the crowd, how many of you have personally sponsored 4 or 5 people in the last 4 or 5 months? And out of 2,000 people, where before all the hands went up, how many hands do you think went up? Maybe 5%. Yeah. When you're in front of the room and you're watching a large audience, you can actually see who hasn't personally sponsored 4 or 5 people, but they just realized that if they don't raise their hand, somebody sitting next to them is going to go, "What? You haven't sponsored 4 or 5 people?" So they go. If you could get to the truth, it'd be about 5%. So then here's what we know about the business model. In order to get 3 or 4 people who are going to actually do it, you really do have to personally sponsor somewhere between 30 and 100 people. To get 4 who are going to stick, actually be leaders, not be sometimers, just actually build something, build some kind of an empire, it's going to be somewhere around 5 or 10% of the people. So you're going to have to personally enroll a lot of people. So if you're not personally enrolling on a regular basis, you're actually out of the game. Until you're regularly enrolling people, you're a bystander. And there's a lot of different words for that. I'm getting around to it. I'm learning. I'm trying. As soon as I get time, and you got this whole story. But if you just look at the facts and look at the numbers, you're either enrolling or you're not enrolling. There is no try. You either are or you aren't. And your 4-year career doesn't start until you are, and on a regular basis. What I found from working with people over long periods of time is that the people who wanted to sponsor, they actually wanted to build a team, but they weren't. The reason they weren't is they didn't think they knew how. So if you interview people who they want to build a team, so they're not the people who are, well, I'm not sure, I'm getting committed to something else tomorrow. They're actually committed and they want to build a team, but they're not building a team. If you could get inside their head and their heart and study them and interview them and say, okay, what's missing? What you would hear are things like, well, I don't know who to talk to, or I don't know where to find my prospects. Not sure about how to do the presentation, or they're afraid the people are going to say no. So I came up with this pretend things, pretend scenario that helped people see that none of that was necessary. I want you to pretend that just like in 1946, where the management of California Vitamins changed the entire paradigm of network marketing by introducing the idea that anybody could enroll, introducing the eighth wonder of the world in geometric progressions, creating network marketing as a business model, I want you to imagine that your company changed the entire business model again by recognizing how much value actual leaders bring to a company. So instead of paying you commissions on sales, or maybe even in addition to paying you commission on sales, what they're going to pay you is, it's actually illegal to do this, or maybe companies would be figuring out how to do it, they're going to pay you what's called a headhunting fee. I want you to imagine that your company is going to pay you $500, not for everybody that you recruit, but for everyone that you invite to take a look. So I'm going to repeat this 2 or 3 times until you clearly get it. I want you to pretend that your company is going to pay you $500 for everyone you just invite to take a look. Now that has to be done with some integrity, so you have to have a tool ready to give them. You have to have a conversation that sounds like, would you like to take a look? And then you have the tool. They don't have to say yes. You get paid if you ask them to look. You get $500 for everyone you ask, with one caveat. You have to ask one person a day. By midnight every night, you have to have asked one person a day. If you don't, that program is never available for you again. So you don't get to use any excuses. It doesn't matter what happens circumstantially to you and your business. You have to make an invite once a day to get the 500, 7 days a week. Go to church in the morning and invite in the afternoon, or invite at church. So that's $15,000 a month, $500 for every invite. And if you ever miss any excuse, you get sick, you get in a car accident, that doesn't matter. You're out. One invite a day. So my first question is, would you perform on that agreement? So would you look at that and say, you know what, that's a good deal, I'm in. Second question is, now think about this, could you perform on that agreement? Do you have the ability? Third question, this is the disabling question that people who are not in action stew in. And that question is, who would you talk to? This is an important physiological exercise. Call it guided visualization, if you will. I want you to get in touch with how your body moves, feels in this scenario. Every day that you invite one person to take a look, you get $500, and you have to play every day. And the question is, I'm going to ask the question again. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I want you to feel how you would feel. Close your eyes. $500. The question is, who are you going to talk to? Don't verbalize the answer. Be in touch with how your body feels. Who are you going to talk to? You got the essence of that? What you just experienced is what it feels like to be a master network marketer. That's what it feels like. How many of you experienced peace, calm, confidence, fun, adventure? Everything you experienced was positive. That's what it feels like. The answer you might have verbalized is that you would talk to everyone. But I'm going to actually give you a different answer that probably speaks to how you felt. Because the real answer is you wouldn't talk to everyone. Who you would talk to is anyone. And there's a big difference. Talking to everyone is kind of what a brand new crazed distributor does. You know, they go out and they just make a nuisance of themselves talking to everyone. But a professional master network marketer does not talk to everyone. Why? Because it makes a nuisance of you. It does not serve our profession well for you to talk to everyone. It's unprofessional, it's obnoxious, it's just not attractive. And think about the model that you're displaying for the person that you're looking to recruit. They're looking at you, and what you're asking them to do is do what you're doing. And you're acting like a crazy person. Talking to everyone about your opportunity and just talking. What a master network marketer does is knows that they at all times are in control and have the ability to talk to anyone. And if you only need to talk to one person a day, you have all kinds of opportunities. So you're at peace throughout the day. You never feel panicked. You never feel like you need to glom on to somebody and get them to listen to you. You never feel like you need to get them in. A master network marketer never feels like they need to get someone in. What they know is all they need to do is invite. And everything else takes care of itself. The fourth question is, for $500 and all you need to do is invite, what would you say to them? If you were to interview every person in network marketing that makes over $10,000 a month, and if you could actually capture the line that invited them to take a look, I can guarantee you 99% of them, whatever their sponsor said to get them to look, didn't sound anything like the company presentation. Nothing like it. Why? It doesn't really matter. It's really hard to say the wrong thing to the right person at the right time. And that's what causes people to look at our opportunity as you get to them at the right time in their life. If it's the wrong time in their life, it's not that they don't want to make more money. It's not that they're not interested in your product. They just can't hear you. Because what's going on in their life right now is just too overwhelming for them. You got to get people at the right time. So if you imagine for $500 for an invite, what you would say to people, the answer that we find that most people sort of settle into that actually gives them peace and confidence is, I don't really know what I would say to them. And it doesn't matter anymore. You would say whatever you needed to say. You would say whatever you were inspired to say. And that's all that matters. And I'm not saying training's not important and presentation's not important. It is all important. And it's about 10% of what's important. 90% of what's important is for you to see and feel yourself doing it with peace, power, freedom, and authenticity. 90% of it is you just, I'm in. This is nothing but green lights for me. The last question to ask yourself is, what would you do if people said no? You get $500 an invite, what would you do if people said no? Notice your body. Who are you going to talk to? What are you going to say to them? What are you going to do if they say no? How are you going to feel if they say no? Notice for $500 an invite how that feels. Notice how it's like, whatever. In fact, cha-ching. Those places that perhaps you could feel, see yourself and feel, that's where you want to get to. And where you want to move away from is that whole thing about, I don't know who to talk to. I've got to run ads or I've got to do internet. And it's not that ads and internet that's fine if you want to do that stuff. It's fine to do that. I mean, the more efficient you can be, the better. That's all fine. And none